Radio Free America, and this is Uncle Sam with music and the truth until dawn. Right now, I got a few words for some of our brothers and sisters in the occupied zone. The chair is against the wall. The chair is against the wall. John has a long mustache. John has a long mustache. It's 12 o'clock, Americans, another day closer to victory. And for all of you out there on or behind the lines, this is your song.
And welcome everybody to our Daily Gun Show. Come to you live every weeknight at midnight Eastern, and we talk about guns for an hour. So it looks like for whatever reason, I'm an idiot, and I scheduled my hard drive backup thing to happen pretty much at the same time as the show. So I just saw this thing pop up and say that it failed because of internet connection. So give me some feedback. I see the little white thing he's winging around here telling me I got a microphone connection, but if it's a poor connection, let me know. It is the evening. Welcome. It is episode, I just wrote it down too. It doesn't tell me anywhere. It's episode something, 1080 something. And it's a Wednesday. I haven't done anything on the calendar in a bit. Let's jump over to the calendar to start the show off. So one of our projects is to have a calendar of events. Our goal is to eventually have something firearm related. Click on the wrong button. Firearm related every single day, and eventually we'll get there. We're doing pretty good. Nope, there's nothing happening. No, today's the 27th. My calendar's a day ahead of me. So looks like today was a pretty interesting one. The Power Soaker, or the Super Soaker, which was originally called the Power Drencher, was patented today. It was invented back in '86, patented in May today of 1986. That guy was a rocket scientist, and he was doing something. I think it was with the space shuttle, or was it with something else? But anyway, he was doing something with, I don't know, rocket fuel going through a valve. I forget the actual story. But anyway, he was sitting there playing with some valve, doing some valve for work, and thought about how that could make a squirt gun. And went home, made it out of PVC pipe in a 2-liter bottle. Pretty cool. And got a patent on it. That guy went on to later do some kind of a Nerf one as well. Let's see. Title says 1093. Holy shit. Thanks. So anyway, so today's the day of the Super Soaker. Was event 86. I was already kind of done playing around with kiddie games in 86, so I never really played with the Super Soaker too much. There were some sort of a tube that you would kind of, like a big syringe basically, you would suck it up and squirt it out. We would use those in like lakes and pools back in the day, but Super Soakers didn't exist. We did have those battery powered things, but you wouldn't go near water with those. They had batteries in them and stuff. So, I mean, you wouldn't go near a lake or a swimming pool or anything. Super Soaker, though, from what I understand, is definitely like the perfect thing for a lake or a swimming pool where you got all that water to refill it right away. But anyway, yeah, that's kind of a neat invention. Obviously made a lot of money. I'm trying to remember now. I've done a lot of these. We're looking into these. I'm pretty sure this is one that right off the bat, he didn't make a ton of money, but eventually he's well off from it. So I think that he got something that got way more popular than everybody thought, and they compensated him unwillingly. I don't know if he had to take him to court. I don't really remember the whole story. But it wasn't the most interesting story I ever heard, but it was not the most depressing, sad story either. So anyway, it's just interesting. It's a story. It's interesting to see a rocket scientist develop a gun that turns out to be a toy in the 80s. You don't see too many. You don't think about guns being developed, in a new way. And I'm pretty sure that's changed culture. I mean, Super Soakers are pretty much a thing, right? Chris is saying I had quite a few Super Soakers. I guess I'll throw a link out there. So I'll throw a link out there if anybody wants to jump in. There's only 4 of you out there tonight. We've got Bob's out there. Chris is out there. And Erstwhile showed up first. Having fun with that 3D printer, I'm assuming. says there's four, so somebody's lurking. 1, 2, 3. Oh no, that's all of us. 4. So this is the private show for us four. Anyway, so I'm not really screen sharing, but I've just been looking at the calendar over here. Yesterday was John Wayne's birthday. I didn't really talk about it because I forgot about it, and I've watched a bunch of John Wayne movies. When I was going back looking for stuff on the hard drive, yesterday's out there. I recently found a folder that I had downloaded with. Well, it wasn't every John Wayne movie, but it was all the ones I had seen. There's like, if you look at, I don't think it's IMDb. Maybe it is. Or if you take all the numbers on IMDb and add them up, he's appeared in like 172 or something things, movies and TV and other stuff. So if you subtract out all the stuff that's kind of not impossible to get, I don't know what it would be, but it would be like 150 movies, let's say, that John Wayne was in. And a lot of them are the old ones, the black and white movies that are hard to watch, because I'll watch an old John Wayne movie when I was trying to watch all these things. And they're so similar, it's hard to watch them. But anyway, he made a whole bunch of them, and I had started a web page somewhere. I don't even remember where I put it back in the day. I didn't start a whole web page for it. I just put a page somewhere on a web page, on a website, that started to keep track of the different John Wayne movies, because I was watching them. I think this was back in the days of cable. I still had a TV back then. So it was back when they would do a thing on TV, on cable TV back in the day. I don't know if they probably still do it, where they'll do like a whole day of John Wayne movies or something like that. So, and this was before Netflix and Blockbuster and shit like that. So you could only go to like a online file sharing place to see a video or watch a movie. You'd have to rent a DVD or whatever. So it was really tough to get all the John Wayne movies, period. So watching them all on TV was pretty cool. And that's when I decided, I'm going to start keeping track of what all I've seen, because so many of these things are similar. I can't keep track of which ones I've already seen already. And I don't watch movies that hard, so I don't really keep track. So an old black and white John Wayne movie definitely bleeds into other ones, because he's almost always a federal marshal. He almost always comes in as like undercover, and then something bad's happening, and he's either a bad guy or close to being a bad guy or getting ripped off by the bad guy. And then, whoops, now he's a federal agent and the thing's over and he wins. So it's tough to keep track of which of those movies are the same. They're all black and white, and I don't know if they were all made the same month, but they seem like they were all made like right after another. He's the same look in all of them. He had to be the same age for most of them. The Shootist, that's the later one. I've only seen it a couple of times because it's one of those movies that they think is so good that they rent it for money all the time, like on Amazon. So yeah, I'm at the discretion of when one of the private theaters out there will have it available, and it's not always available. So I've only seen it a few times. I liked it. I'm trying to remember. I definitely liked his older stuff. I really like his old stuff though. I mean, that's the thing about John Wayne. I do not mind the old black and white ones. They're a lot of them are the same, but there's a couple that stand out and are really good. Another reason I tried to keep track of them, because I wanted to keep track of which ones were good from the ones that weren't so kind of similar. But then his World War II movies are freaking awesome. Like, they're freaking great. And then, I mean, they're not all perfect, but they're really good. And then I don't know, he does a couple, I guess, that are sort of detective things or not cowboy movies. I don't know if I've seen all those, but they're fine. But then I do like his older ones where he started to get older and stuff. But I just can't say which one I like the most. But anyway, so I found a whole bunch of John Wayne movie images that I thought about putting together that list again. I really can't remember which ones I've seen for the most part, so I'll probably just start watching them all again. I don't remember. Bob's out there. There might have been a time in the 1,000 episodes of this show that we did a John Wayne like movie of the day or something, because there's a bunch of them. I could start doing that going forward. That'd be kind of neat. Just throw like a John Wayne movie in the schedule every single day, and then let people know so maybe we could chat about them. Some of them are neat. Maybe do like one old one, one non-cowboy one good one, something like that each week. Do 3 movies a week or something. So yeah, you're saying one of your favorite. I could definitely say one of my favorites is the Shootist. Is the Shootist when he's old and he's hanging out with what's her face, and it's sort of like the second story of is it Chisholm? I don't know. There's a couple that almost seem like sequels to the earlier movies, but when he's much older, and they're like unofficial sequels, I think. And then there's one that literally is a sequel that is the same character with his wife, way older. Um, Again, I kind of like all of those, but I think it's the dang it. What's the one? Maybe I'll take a look at what's the name of those movies, or the list of movies here. I want to say The Searchers. I think The Searchers is the one I'm thinking of. It's not a fun movie. It's a fucking pretty gritty movie, but you can't watch that one every week or nothing. It's not a lighthearted movie, but it's amazing. It's a really good western. They got a list of them. Let's see if they got a list of them on Wikipedia. Oh, they don't. That's crazy. How can they not have a list in his thing? Here's a list of movies that he missed. He was not in High Noon because he felt the story was an allegory against blacklisting, which he actively supported. He said High Noon was one of the most un-American things he's ever seen in his whole life, and he'd never regret. Oh, and he. Oh, I don't know what it's trying to say. And that he would never regret having helped run the screenwriter out of the country. Oh, okay. Yeah. That's the one where he's older, and that's his last movie. I've only seen that one a few times, so I liked it, but like I say, I'm not gonna say it's my favorite because it's kind of dry too. It's not dry; it's sad almost. Like it's not a lighthearted movie. It says that in 1955, it's an urban legend that he turned down Gunsmoke because he was way too big a star to have ever even considered a TV star or a TV role, so he would have never taken it. I guess that one of the Major and Doctor Strangelove was written for John Wayne, but he immediately turned it down, which I could understand. I can't see him being in that movie. Looks like Wayne accepted the role of Major Reisman in Dirty Dozen, but he asked for some script changes, and then he quit to make the Green Berets. He was replaced by Lee Marvin because they wouldn't make the script changes, I guess. Let's see. He wanted to be Dirty Harry, but they said he was too old. He was 63 when they made it. It would have been interesting seeing John Wayne as Dirty Harry, though. Let's see. Director, blah, 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 and screenwriter pitched 1971 Streets of Laredo. I don't know if I've ever seen that one. Streets of Laredo, any good? They convinced it is a Western would bring the final curtain down on Hollywood Westerns. Wayne turned it down, feeling his character was more undeveloped and uninteresting than his co-stars. And then Mel Brooks offered him a role in Blazing Saddles, and he turned it down. Good. And then Steven Spielberg offered John Wayne and Charlton Heston a role in the movie 1941. He decided not to do it because of ill health. And he didn't think it was patriotic. I didn't see that movie, 1941. Is that the John Belushi comedy? Yeah, I haven't seen that one. Or if I did, I don't remember. Does anybody remember seeing the John Belushi comedy 1941? All right, well, so yeah, they don't have a list of his movies in here. That's weird. So what are you going to get directed to a list of his movies? How do they do this? Radio work, early film. Yeah, I guess they just don't list filmography. Here we go. Oh, you have to go to a whole other page for it. I guess that makes sense. So starting in 1926, he was a Yale football player. And then it looks like he was in a bunch of different kind of movies until he became a cowboy dude, and then it's a bunch of cowboy movies. Yeah, in 1932 alone, holy moly. Yeah, like he made a dozen movies a year for a while here. back in the old black and white days, they would just sit down and make movies and burn around. And I can kind of remember some of these: Neath the Arizona Skies, Lawless Frontier, Star Packer. I definitely remember Star Packer. That's such a weird name. I guess that's what they would call a undercover person in the day. Wind to the Wasteland. I don't remember that one. I think I do though. Picture seems familiar. Let's see. So yeah, the other problem is the other challenge is, I guess, once you see a bunch of these that are available on like Amazon or Netflix or whatever, or Hulu or wherever, almost everywhere has a few John Wayne movies. You see a bunch and then you're stuck. Like there are just not online versions of some of these. So some of them I did get. If you pay attention to like the dollar DVDs in like a dollar store, or like the not quite a dollar store, but we have like cheap grocery stores around here that are not quite a regular grocery store, but they're not a dollar store either. And in those kind of grocery stores, they'll sometimes have a bin of like basically bootleg dollar DVDs that are literally bootlegs. Like I don't even know how they can do it legally. I've seen John Wayne movies in there, and sometimes you can get those like 2 or 3 movies on a DVD for $1. And I have a couple of those kind of things where there's like one John Wayne movie and 2 other weird movies I never heard of, and it's the weirdest John Wayne movies that way. Yeah, all the way up until even into the 40s, he was just kicking through movies. 1950, he only made 1 movie, and in 1951, he only made 2. So that must be where he starts to slow down. And then for a bunch of years here, he only makes like 2 movies a year. Interesting. So yeah, what the hell? It says 1977, Star Wars, Guardian voice. I didn't know that. Who's this Guardian that John Wayne is the voice of? He provided the voice of Imperial Spy Guardian. I never heard of that before. Blood Alley in 1955. Not sure if I've seen that one. I'm now looking up. Oh, I'm not screen sharing. I'm looking up. Holy snap. I didn't know that. Look at this. Does anybody know who John Wayne was the voice of in Star Wars? You do. You just don't know it. So I wonder if there's a video of it somewhere. There's got to be a video. It says there's 41 seconds of it. I don't know if you can hear it. What?
Which way? All right, men, load your weapon.
What?
Stop that shit!
What? That wasn't even. That didn't work. Binary translator. So that had to be the new version. So how do you get to the original? What year was Star Wars? 1977. How do you get to a 1977 version? What's all this about?
All right, give it to me. I'll take it. Look at this. Sauce.
Yeah, he does just make a squibbly noise.
To make that word count. Which way? All right.
What? That was supposed to be John Wayne, though, according to stupid internet. I don't believe it. That guy going is fucking John Wayne. Please, I think that's bullshit. Trying to get John Wayne into Star Wars somehow. Right, I'm curious. How do you figure out about this? Where's John Wayne secretly in Star Wars? Let's see. Other reasons George Lucas edited to make Han Solo because Lucas, John Wayne character would do, and you didn't want Han Solo, blah, blah. Event Luke races home sequences, practically a remake of The Searchers, where John Wayne's character races home. Here's the scene from The Searchers. Here's the scene from New Hope. It would certainly blah, blah, blah. All right. However, that's not Joyce did make it in this film, but in a weird fashion. Guy who so it's this guy with the nose on him when they're in that place looking for Han Solo. They walk in front of this guy with a big long elephant nose, and then that guy with the elephant nose tells the stormtroopers about him. He narcs on him. That's John Wayne. That squeaky voice was technically John Wayne's voice, heavily distorted. It does not appear, though, that Lucas had any say. The legendary sound designer, the guy that came up with R2-D2s, explained what happened. I always wanted to do an insect man. We really didn't have an insect man come along until blah, 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 blah. We had that character that looked like a mosquito. He's saying that the guy with the elephant nose looks like a mosquito. That we found that he needed a sound for. And I was wondering back a few months how I did it because I kept notes and tapes, and I discovered it was an electronic buzzing which had come off my synthesizers, which was triggered by human voice. And I listened to it and I realized it was John Wayne. I had found lines in the trash from a studio that had been thrown away. So the buzzing was triggered by some dialogue like, all right, what are you doing in this town? So in a way, John Wayne was in Star Wars, but it wasn't an intentional homage, and John Wayne had no active involvement. Okay. So they used his voice in an effect, which is a bullshit way to try to get views.
The launch capacity clips. The launch capacity clips. The shoulder thing that goes up. 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 The shoulder thing. The shoulder thing that goes up. The shoulder thing that goes up. The shoulder thing that goes up.
Anybody who uses electronic clips like that is desperate for.
The shoulder thing that goes up. The shoulder thing that goes up.
It's just desperate for views.
The shoulder thing that goes up. 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 The launch capacity clips. The launch capacity clips. The launch capacity clips. The launch capacity clips. The launch capacity clip. The launch capacity. The launch capacity. The launch capacity clips.
All right, so I guess that's enough about John Wayne over there. That was all coming from the calendar, and I'm bored and nobody's jumping in here, so I guess we're just gonna work on some tasks. Tomorrow is Paul Mauser being born, or no, dying, excuse me. Dying. 2014, makes a gun that a bunch of people like. A bunch of people like me don't really care about. It's called Mauser. Then what is that? That's the 29th already. Holy moly. So we got almost May coming up here. What do we got coming up in May? Henry being born. Blade show is supposed to happen. Anniversary of D-Day. Roland White, bored through cylinder. Dude, I've never seen. Do not have a picture of that guy. Then we got Hunt, Walter Hunt dying. It's the volcanic. Got Tyler Henry being born. No, dying, excuse me. And then the Battle of Dong Zai. I guess I left that in there. Reverend Forsyth, that's the percussion cap being invented back in the olden days. Got New Hampshire hunting with a suppressor being decriminalized. Flag Day's coming up. Got her birthday. Got Spencer being born. Bairn dying. Neil Knox gets born. And I got a whole span of like 4 days and nothing happening there. Looks like I got a bunch of stuff in here, but I suspect there's some things that aren't in there. So I guess I'll be working on that. I don't think I'll do that live though. We're not getting much chatter either. So it says there's 9 people out there, but I guess it's boring listening to me look at John Wayne videos online. Descriptions of John Wayne videos online. No reason why, or no idea why my thing over there quit working. Maybe I got too much stuff open. I will try to do a show to keep a conversation going, but I'm not gonna dance around. So I've been working on some videos. I guess I'm not really gonna show those off here. I would show them off if this was Patreon only, but it would be spoiling it to show everybody the video before it goes live. There's Bishop Ammunition out there. Good evening. And with that, I guess we'll wrap it up. So thanks for showing up. We'll be back, what is today, Wednesday? Be back tomorrow. What's something I was going to be doing? Oh, tomorrow we had the Second Amendment Foundation had their second workshop. That's not really a workshop, but seminar today. And it's free. You just have to sign up. So they send you a link. You use Zoom, which is kind of interesting, but I don't know, it's like a private, what you're watching right now, except you have to have a link to it to watch it. And they talked about pretty much the same thing they talked about yesterday, grassroots efforts and I guess motivation and the first attempts at recon, like finding out who's out there, who's interested. This is their first time going live using that format or that method to reach out. They have a couple of different ways to feedback on that thing. You can do a poll while they're live, and I'm guessing they get the results of that to keep. They'll get obviously the emails of the participants, since you can't just watch anonymously like on YouTube, which is, one way or the other, it's there. But when you know who your audience are, because they've literally signed up for it, had to be allowed in. And I'm guessing they can see the audience in one way or another. Since we didn't really log in, but I think you're logging in with your email. I don't know. I'm guessing there's a tag in the links. I'll have to look at it. But whatever, it ain't perfect, but it was certainly an attempt. And it's months ahead of the Gun Rights Policy Conference. So I didn't see anybody from AmCon in there, but I don't know who's behind the scenes or whatever. So if you're interested, check it out tomorrow. I think it's 7 p.m. Pacific time. So I guess what they tried to do is do 7 p.m. for the different time zones. I thought that was a strategy. So they did it at 7 p.m. Eastern. Today was 7 p.m. Central. F Mountain time, I guess. So next time tomorrow it'll be Pacific time, so 7 p.m. Pacific. So if you want, grab the link. I sent them in. There's a video out there that I got them in. They're on Patreon. I sent them in, or I put them in the show notes from yesterday's show. Grab the link, email them. It's automated, I'm sure, because a little while later you'll get an email that'll give you a link to the show tomorrow. And then you just, whenever, remember to show up. It'll send you an email an hour early to let you know that it's coming. And then you just join. You don't know who else is out there unless they chat. So if you're one of them people that likes to hide out there and watch, you can do it anonymously and learn what everybody else is learning and then complain about it or whatever you're going to do. So, that's tomorrow. And then it'll be Friday, and then it'll be the weekend, and then it'll be next month. So that makes it June. I think I'm going to start working on the almanac again. I don't know. If you're out there and you want to give feedback, let me know if you want me to do that live on here. Otherwise, I'll do it during the day or when I'm not on here. And we'll do other stuff on here. Otherwise, I feel like I'm talking to the wall. So with that, be back to pick up later.